Live from the Washington, D.C. area, it's the Inside Scoop, Emerald Planet. All the ecology news that our viewers want to know. Now, here's your host, Executive Director of the Emerald Planet, Dr. Sam Lee Hancock.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we look around the globe in 143 different nations, looking at the best technologies, processes, services, and products that can be used to bring about a better quality of life as we move through the 21st century. Many people are looking around the globe at all the cataclysmic climate change issues that are going on, the impact on the environment, the loss of water, the droughts, fires, volcanoes, all these natural calamities that are going on around the globe, and saying that maybe humankind needs to draw back in, needs to do less as we go through the future. But yet we're here to attest that actually the best is yet to come. We have Christopher Zaloff, president of City 21, that's going to be with us in the first segment. We're going to kick off with a DVD from his movie that he's just brought out about City 21 and looking at the 21st, actually going into the 22nd century of what's to come as far as technology, and then we'll talk with the filmmaker himself.
If one just casts back in time, for example, into the waste of the night that we can see around us, that region of wandering fires, and gas, and the enormous desert range of the universe as far as we can reach out and see it, we somehow have the feeling that there's something very, very strange, very peculiar about the first emergence of life out of this wilderness, which in many ways seems so indifferent to everything that we believe in.
All cities seem to have a mythical origin that is often another city, that is often some other foundation that they're recalling or aspiring to. And so many great cities of the past aspire to other places. In many ways, Alexandria, Egypt, was meant to be a kind of a more perfect Athens in some sense.
Christopher Zaloff, welcome.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Glad to have you here. Tell us a little bit about City 21. What is the impetus for this? And then we're going to go into some more features of the content of what you brought for us.
Okay. Well, the film asks two primary questions. The number one question is, what are some of the key initiatives and perspectives shaping the 21st century city? And city, of course, is a global phenomenon. And the second question is, what can we learn from the emerging eco-village movement? And those two questions really frame the research.
Now, looking at all this, Chris, as you know, for the first time in 2009, that the majority of the population of the globe, about 54%, are now living in cities. So it seems very appropriate that you're now having the City 21 project and sharing this around the globe. Why did you choose the city versus the rural areas of the globe to focus on?
Well, city is connected to civilization and the origin of the word. And the last film we did was called Ecological Design, Inventing the Future, where we looked at technology. And we thought now that the technology is here, the issues are more about community and building livable places. So it's kind of an evolution of our research.
Now, looking at the notion of City 21, you use this term community, which is really becoming in vogue now in the 21st century, although it's been with us from the start of civilization. How are you defining community, and what does community mean to you in relationship to this movie, City 21?
Well, communities, of course, are always emerging. They're not static.
So they're organic and they're always evolving.
Right, and you can contrast community with maybe networking, where we can all be linked together, but it doesn't really make a community. So I think community involves intention. So there's some kind of reason that we're interacting and something that we want to create. So there's a co-creation aspect to community and perhaps shared values on what it is that we're creating. And certainly City 21 has a ecological bias that we want to create with nature, integrate with nature, not try and conquer nature.
So again, it goes back to this whole biblical notion, go you forth and conquer, and what we want to do is go you forth and try to ameliorate and work together with nature so that we're actually progressing together
right.
for the future. Let me
go forth and integrate.
Absolutely. Like that concept.
Some mythical foundation. It's hard to know where that actually begins.
The rise and fall of images of the future precedes or accompanies the rise and fall of cultures. As long as society's image is positive and flourishing, the flower of culture is in full bloom. Once the image begins to decay and lose its vitality, however, the culture does not long survive.
Well, Chris, looking at this whole notion of the full bloom of culture and moving forward into the 21st century, how do you think that maybe we're coming into this decline of, you know, you've heard this, that we're at the end of the Renaissance era, 750 years, and how have you incorporated this concept into this whole notion, again, of City 21?
Well, that quote that was on the screen is from the great futurist Frederick Pollock, who was a Dutch futurist, and the rise and fall of images of the future are connected to the rise and fall of culture. So we're trying to offer images of the future that inspire, that take us into the next period of time. Post-Renaissance, well, that's a deep question there, but clearly we're moving from the industrial age to the post-industrial age and information age to the next phase, which hasn't really been defined. Some people call it the dream society.
Yeah, and this goes all the way back to Aboriginal society of 30,000 years of the dream people. I mean, the people of the dream is what the Aborigines are all about.
Yes.
And many philosophers are saying that maybe we're now going back to this all-natural state of the Aborigines of everything of life is but a dream.
Yeah.
And we're moving into the future. So it's really an exciting time to be on Earth.
Right. I wouldn't say we're going back. We're maybe drawing from the past to create a better future.
Fantastic.
We are in a world that we don't understand anymore. We looked back to the myth and the metaphor of the Enlightenment. The old rules no longer seem to apply, the new rules haven't been discovered. What we need is a second Enlightenment.
Now the Biosphere 2 project, having been able to recycle water, recycle sewage, purify the atmosphere and so forth, is a direct clue as to how to create sustainable communities. To be prefaced with the idea that Toynbee showed, I think, convincingly, and others, that civilizations have a lifetime, just like people have a lifetime. And that this lifetime, I think, averages something like 750 years. There are civilizations that have been cut off or truncated without achieving their potential. But my understanding is that we're at the tail end of the Renaissance civilization, and sometimes called the synthetic civilization.
In my experience, innovation is usually credited in individuals, but as Brian Eno says, it's really not genius so much as genius. It's a bunch of people who give each other a kind of encouragement and permission to create and be as good as each other and then better than each other and all that.
So Chris, looking at the whole notion of community, new urban design, new materials. How do you think we're going to be able to synthesize all these things together so that we're actually enhancing and bringing about a better quality of life for a population that's now getting ready to go beyond 7 billion, maybe towards 9 billion by 2050? How can we bring all this together so we're having a better quality of life, not less?
Well, there's no easy answer. I think Stuart Brand gave a clue there with this idea of scenius, that it's not the individual genius, but it's the scenius that comes together, a group of people who come together.
Synthesis of everyone contributing and being a part of what's going on.
Right, and consciously creating images of the future that inspire the best in humanity and individuals as well. Of course, with the technology now, renewable energy technology and the internet to link everybody together, we can design our environments at a deeper level. So I don't know if it's a how-to more than it's what is it that we want to create question. And that's a question you have to ask all the time.
Well, it's kind of like a doctoral dissertation, is many times we have all the answers, we just don't know what the question is.
Right.
So I think that's where we are at this time.
E qualunque mito, che è l'elemento fondante di qualunque civiltà, di qualunque storia, è sempre il punto d'origine, e se nutrito diventa qualcosa di vero.
Whatever myth that is at the origin of history, of the origin of a culture, if nourished, becomes reality.
And someone has to have the courage to really draw it, to think about it, to write about it, to dream about it before you can actually build it. I mean, the dream has to predate the realization.
Talking about this whole notion of the dream, maybe this new dream world, the dream society, how is this being incorporated into City 21? I keep trying to say Century 21, but City 21 as we move forward towards the 22nd century?
Well, City 21 is in 9 episodes. We didn't do the definitive research. We did selective research, and we're giving clues on what the future could look like by showing different examples and different allegories of what's possible. So this is an overview of what we can do as a human being, as a group. So a lot of these folks are creating what they want, so it's coming out of the power of the dream.
And it sounds like you're helping to create all that through City 21. Christopher Zaloff, who's president of City 21. Thank you for being with us on the Emerald Planet as we look around the globe in 143 nations as we work to create the Emerald Planet.
This year, 28,000 Americans will be